Welcome to Mike Ferry TV. Obviously, here we are in November of 2013, and one of the obvious questions that you need to address if you haven't is, are you planning carefully what you're going to do in 2014? I'm assuming that your broker, if you have a coach, your coach, has helped you now to create, establish some goals, objectives, plans, business plan for the next year. One of the common questions that people, of course, bring up to me on a regular basis is, and it's going to sound a little strange, but it's true, Mike, I'm not making enough money, or I'm making a lot of money and not keeping enough, and I don't understand why. Well, if we're going to look at 2014, and as a year that's going to be dramatically better for you than 2013, which it should be. I mean, obviously, your business should improve. The economy is stronger, the economy is better, everything is working in your favor as a professional agent. Your income, gross and net, should improve. So I had a great discussion 3 or 4 weeks ago. I have a couple of interesting groups that I work with, and some of you may be familiar. Every Monday morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I do a 30-minute call, and it's a group that we call Mornings with Mike. And what we do on Monday morning, I have about 150 great salespeople. Some of you may be on these calls. And I do a 30-minute coaching training call for 135 to 150, depending on how many are on each week, great agents. And each week I try to pick a topic that is pertinent to what they're trying to accomplish in building their business. And the questions came up time and time again is, Mike, I'm grossing 150, 300, 500,000, whatever that number is, but I'm not keeping enough of it, and I don't understand why. Well, in these Mornings with Mike calls that we do every Monday morning, we decided to address this issue very carefully. Let's say you've set a goal to make $100,000 in 2014, or a goal to make $50,000, or a goal to make $500,000, or whatever that number is. How do we make that more profitable? See, for you and I, as professional real estate salespeople, it's not like we're running General Electric. It's not like we own a big car dealership where we have immense and intense overhead. It's not like, even in my company, where we have 70, 80, 90 employees that are being paid pretty substantial salaries plus benefits, etc., to operate our business. As a real estate professional, it should be a low overhead business for you. But what we've discovered, it very, very rarely is. There's just too many either hidden, not looked at, or stupid costs that apply to a real estate salesperson. So what we want to look at today is, how do we either adjust and make our net profit to ourselves better, or how do we eliminate some of those crazy things we do as real estate salespeople so we can earn the kind of money you deserve. I want to start by sharing with you a story. We had one of our coaches call me a couple of weeks ago, and the coach said, I've really got a problem, client. I said, well, here we are. Let's talk about it. I said, what's the problem? Now, excuse me, I want to read to you what the coach said to me. The client is doing 30 deals a year, which is a good agent. Now, you and I both know, in most offices, if you do 30 deals a year, you're going to be one of the top agents in that office. The client this year is going to make $150,000. And, we sit back and say to ourselves, well, that's not a lot of money. Wait a minute, $150,000? That's a lot of money. Don't kid yourself. I mean, if you look at the average income of a real estate person, which is about $1.42 a year, $150,000 is a lot of money. So I said, well, what is the challenge with the client? Well, the client wants to quit coaching. I said, you're kidding. How long has the client been in coaching with us? 6 months. I said, are they on a 1-year contract? She said, right. I said, well, they can't quit coaching. So we got to figure out what to do to help this client move forward. The client won't do anything I say. Okay, tell me why. Now listen to this. This agent, on $150,000 gross income, spends approximately $54,000 a year purchasing and buying leads off the internet. $54,000 a year. I mean, that makes no sense. This person has 2 full-time assistants. On 30 transactions, 2 full-time assistants, and pays them each $24,000 a year, or $50,000 a year. Plus, this agent has a buyer's agent, and of the 30 transactions, 10 were done by the buyer's agent, and the buyer's agent gets 70% of the gross commission. So I figured out this agent on $150,000 has a pre-tax income of about $35,000. Now, isn't that interesting? Runs around town, I'm number one, aren't I cool, aren't I hot? I make $150,000 a year, but actually has a pre-tax income of 35. And then I figured out spendable income after taxes of 25 to 26,000. You can work at Walmart as a greeter and make that and not have all the hassle this person puts themselves through. So what we have to look at is come down to, I wrote a question here. What do you want to accomplish with your business? I mean, do you want ego recognition? That's good. Do you want a very low spendable income? Or would you like to have a better life financially for yourself and your family? Because that's really what it comes down to. And I'm going to say that 90% of you, 10% will say, well, I want the recognition of being number one. But I think 90% of you will say, no, Mike, I want to improve the quality of my business, the quality of my life, the quality of my finances, my income, so I can provide a better life for myself and my family. And boy, let me tell you, that's why we're here trying to help. This agent is never going to make it. Now, they're going to have a $25,000 income. Now, guys and gals, I mean, I don't know where you live, but if you can live comfortably on 25 grand, you're really good at budgeting. In fact, we probably need to elect you president of the United States, because that guy is not as good at budgeting as you obviously are on 25 grand. But look at this, 150,000 gross, 25,000 net. It makes no sense. So I wrote down a whole series of thoughts that keep our income lower than it should be and our net income way lower than it should be. So let's go through a list of what are the causes that agents seem to deal with on a regular basis that keeps their income down when in their minds they're really doing well and grossing a lot of money. I wrote down first, if you have a buyer's agent or buyer agents, you have to quit paying them anything more than 50% of the gross. A lot of you have a buyer's agent. You want to list property. I'm for that. I support that 100%. You're a great listing agent. Your job is to list property. Your job is not to put buyers in your car. So what do? We hire 1 or 2 buyer's agents. And then to keep them happy, we pay them 60, 65, 70%. Well, let's say that your average commission check, for example, is $5,000, and you're paying 70% to a buyer's agent, and 7 times 5 is 35. The buyer's agent gets $3,500, you get $1,500, and then you have to have an assistant to process the transactions, and you have your computer and your internet and all the rest of the costs. You don't make any money in these transactions. If you're going to have a buyer's agent and you want to make money, you can't pay over 50%. But Mike, no buyer's agent will work for 50%. That's why you don't have a buyer's agent. You just take those leads, give them to somebody else, and collect a referral fee when you can get it. I wrote down overstaffing. 30 deals and 2 assistants. I mean, if you've been around the block with me at all, we say you never hire your first assistant till you're at that 40 to 45 minimum transactions a year. So the assistant cost is way too high. Advertising and marketing. I talked to a lady last week, and listen to this one. She does 75 deals a year. That's big business. This is a great agent, 75 deals a year. And I said, well, where does your business come from? Well, I do pretty well at listing property. I said, great. How do you generate your listings? Because she was talking about getting involved in our coaching. And she said to me, listen to this. Now, are your coaches going to ask me to prospect? I said, uh-huh. Well, I don't like to prospect. I said, well, that's normal. How do you get your business? Listen to this. She does 10,000, 10,000 postcards a week. 10,000 a week. I said, what does that cost you? She goes, well, it's not much. It's about 25,000 a month. 25,000 a month? She goes, yes. I said, how many listings do you get out of that? Oh, I average between 1 and 2. Her average commission check is 5 grand. She's spending 25 grand to make 10 grand. Well, welcome to the wonderful world of real estate. I wrote down third, okay, as a huge cost. Fourth, referral fees that we pay out. We have agents around the country that advertise, I pay a 40% referral fee. They're going to, if you send them a lead, they're going to pay you 40%. That makes no sense. That's way out of whack with the effort you put in to make the transaction work. Relocation fees. I support fully brokers that have relocation departments. And I support fully that they give those relocation deals to very inexperienced or low-producing agents. Because why would a top-producing agent want to take a relocation buyer coming to town? First of all, 30 to 35% comes off the top to the relo company, and then the broker's going to put you on a substantially lesser split because you're getting a free transaction. There's no money in these deals. Well, then I love this one. Buying listings and buying listing appointments. There's 3 or 4, they're pretty good name recognition companies that for $5, $10, $15, $20,000 will sell you listing appointments. Give me $15,000 and I'll furnish you with 4 or 5 appointments a month. I wrote down discounted commissions. Discounted commissions. Talk about costing you a lot of money. Great conversation several years ago. A wonderful lady, top producer, that was doing this many deals and making this much money. And I said, I don't understand why. Well, she said, I feel bad for the sellers. So instead of charging 6%, I'll charge 4 or 5. Do they ask for a commission cut? No, but I just feel bad for them. So I cut the commission. I said, well, don't you need the money? Well, I'm pretty well-to-do. I don't need the money. I said, well, let's just for a week see if you can not cut the commission. Well, that was several years ago. She's made millions. Watch, millions of dollars by not cutting her commissions. And then, of course, I wrote down, if you want to keep your income down, buying internet buyer leads. How dumb can you get? Buying internet buyer leads? When we are involved in the most important listing-oriented market we've had in 15 years, and somebody's buying internet buyer leads, and then, of course, just spending all your time working with buyers. Because you know and I know if you're going to do 25, 40, 70, 100 transactions a year, it has to be 80% listing-oriented. So I guess the question for you is this. How much money do you want to make? How much do you want to end up spending for you and your family? What lifestyle would you like to have? Are you interested in that, or are you simply interested in the ego recognition so you can say you're number one? You want to make money? Do the things we ask. You want to make money? Pay attention to how the income flow is coming to you. You want to make money? Be a good business person and a great salesperson. And I'll look forward to talking to you next week.